Welcome, my friends. You got no idea how happy I am that another friend of ours has aced the exam, slain the beast. And Taji, I'm just so excited to welcome you to speak to our friends here. Tell me the honest truth. How do you feel right now?
Whew, like a weight. I've been telling people this all day. My friends have been texting me or Facebooking me when I told them, or on LinkedIn, like a weight has been lifted. I can get my life back.
Oh my goodness. I'm so
But it
happy,
feels
so
good. It
excited.
feels good. Thank you. To your tutelage, Phil. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be going over your experience on the exam after you have slain the ferocious beast. You went in there and then you took it apart. So tell us, why did you want to do this in the first place? Let people know the background.
Oh, the background was, I think I told you before, I was laid off during COVID.
Mm.
And I was in sales, and the job was so volatile because of COVID. So I was like, maybe I need to do something else. And I've been managing projects. I've done project launches for Bacardi. I've done planned many events. I've been doing this for all my career, but I've never had the PMP title.
Mm.
And I've done anything from budgets to procurement. And so, just in my world in sales, it just wasn't called. The words weren't called the same. So a friend of mine has a PMP, and she was like, you should get your PMP, Taji, look into it. And so I did while I was off for a year from COVID. Wow. But the funding didn't come through until after I did, get a new job, but I still stuck with it and studied while I was working, when I was hoping to study when I was out of work, to make it easier. But I stuck with it, and a year later, I have a PMP.
Woo! Oh my goodness, so exciting. So you were doing all this project management related stuff, but you were not calling it the terminology that you were.
Correct.
And you decided, let me make it official. So you started studying. And how was the content as you were going through it? Was it making sense? Was it now sticking? How was Agile being new to it? Can you just tell us a bit about that?
Well, there wasn't any mention of Agile in my other roles. No. And there were some similarities. Budgets, that's in everything. You have a program, you're going to have money. You got to have money to take care of the program. Procurements, that was a part of it. Like I told you, I had to order everything from ice sculptures to butterflies. Training, that was the part. I had to train bartenders and train other people on how to present the brand at restaurants or liquor stores, doing programs there. So parts of it were not new to me. But and stakeholder engagement, that's definitely not new. Your bartenders are a stakeholder. The owner of the restaurant is a stakeholder. So that wasn't new to me. The parts that was new to me was integration, scope, schedule. That was new. So I had to figure that part out, but I did. So it's good. I figured it out.
Gotcha. So you started studying the material and you started coming across all the knowledge areas and so on. Let's fast forward to today, because everyone's like, no, I just want to know what happened during the exam. So
but for people who don't know, I've already taken the exam once. I took it 2 months ago on August 16th, and I missed it, but I still have my little paper. It shows me how close I was to that line of passing. And that ticked me off is basically what happened. I was like, I'm not going to let that happen again. I know the PMP gives you 3 times per year to pass it, and then you have to wait another year if you don't. I was not going to be, I said, okay, I failed one time, but I'm not used to failing, Phil. I don't fail. It humbled me. I'm going to tell you that right now. It humbled me to fail that test. And I said I was not going to fail again. I was going to pass it this time. So after I didn't pass it the first time, I went looking for help on the web, and I found you. And thank God I did.
Thank you for sharing that. And you went for training. It's not as though you didn't prepare. But what was the gap between the training and what you saw in the exam? Was there anything glaring that you were missing in the initial training that you went for before the first encounter?
Oh, definitely. I mentioned this to you earlier today that, and no, I'm not trying to, put any negative vibes toward my old trainer and coach, but because maybe that I took my last training through a college, not a community college.
Community college.
And what she was told to train me on was what she was supposed to do. That was her contract or whatever with the community college. But to me, there was a gap. There was once training with you, the first time there was no connection between the knowledge areas, the process groups, and the 49. That connection wasn't there. You made that connection very clear and how important it was to know that. I didn't get that the first time. I got how to build a self-organizing team, how to keep the team on track. But there was, maybe they expected us to go read the book, the PMBOK, and figure it out. But you specifically told us. And to me, that's the big gap. And that's what I learned. And that's why I passed the PMP the second time around.
Wow. Wow. That is so good to know. So the first time you went in there, it sounds like you may not have been as cognizant of this people, process, business stuff and the way everything, because let's be honest, Taji, there's so many pieces. There's people, process, business, there's agile, hybrid, predictive, there's PMBOK, there's the 49 processes, there's a 5 process groups, the 10 knowledge areas, then there's Scrum with a 3-5-3, then there's Kanban, then there's all those other tiny little things at the back of the Agile guide. So there's a lot that you need to put together in one macro view. But one thing I got as you and the team, because we meet together daily, for those who don't know, we have a daily Scrum, but as you and the team, you used to show up. It was as though it was your meeting. I'm like, Taji is the cheerleader of this daily Scrum. She, if Taji isn't there, then what happened?
Yeah, but my past, I used to be the facilitator. I would run the meeting. The senior, stakeholders were there, and I would tell them, okay, you need to do 100 samplings this month on Bacardi Limon, and you need to have, 10 off-premise displays. And that's what I did. My title was market manager, but I was a project manager. I just didn't have the title. I would sit in those meetings and I would tell everybody what to do, and they would go out and do it. I would give them their marching orders, and they would do it. We met once a month. We'd have a daily Scrum, but we met once a month to go over, because remember, our program was always a year. In corporate America, you got a year to get everything done. And so that's how I've always done that. So it was very easy for me to facilitate a meeting.
And let's give credit and praise to who praise is due. So thank you for your service, Taji. Which part of the military were you at before?
United States Marine Corps, hoorah. That's the only branch. Come on.
Well, I'm a bit biased because I've got a number of friends that were in the Corps, but I'm really happy that you came full circle, because you took your abilities, and what did you do? Tell us what they called you in the military. What was your nickname? You want to tell us?
Mean Dean, Sergeant Mean Dean. I was a sergeant. Come on, you gotta get on
that tenacity.
I was very what's the word? I was a directive type of a leader.
Directive, not draconian though.
They needed direction.
Not draconian, just directive.
No, not draconian, directive.
So you brought that tenacity, and you would show up daily. And it got to a point, I'm like, yeah, she's ready. She's drunk the Kool-Aid. That's it. As they say in the military, embrace the suck. Yeah, you did. And you're ready to roll. And I knew you were. And before you came out of the exam, I sent you a congrats. How many people?
And I was like, how does he know already? I mean, how does he already know that I passed the exam? I was about to text him. I was actually literally about to not text you, but send you let you know that I passed on LinkedIn. And you said congrats. I'm like, does he have a connection to PMI? Did they send him the thing before because I was leaving, and they sent me my little pack. They said, here, you don't want to leave with this. It's the little thing that shows you, that you got what you did in each process group, and I got above target in all 3. I was like, yes. And I was like, how did he know? How did you know, Phil?
Well, that's my little secret. I always know. No, let me just be honest. I was so confident at how much you knew that I was not even bothered. I didn't lose. So truth be told, there's some students I lose sleep over. I'm like, Lord have mercy, please. But for you, I'm like, she's got it. So I just gave thanks, being a person of faith. And
you mean to tell me you just said thanks, even though you didn't know I passed yet? Is that what you're saying?
How else would I have known, other than me knowing that you were already at?
Like I said, I thought maybe you had some connection to PMI, and they send you up.
PMI
like you
don't
knew
do that.
What score I got on the mock too.
PMI don't have friends to that degree. I just know when someone is baked and done. I have this really full awareness, and I was just hearing you talking about this stuff. And, the other day, you and I looked through the scores of those who got a particular score versus your score. And I'm like, there's just no way. Let's just call it a day. That's why I kept telling you, don't take another mock exam. But did you? Did you take another mock exam?
No, I did not, but I did. I did not take another mock exam.
But you went on the LMS.
No,
you took the little things on the LMS.
No, that's what I was going to say.
I knew.
I did not take another mock exam, but what I did not take any more tests. I did not. Well, I did, but I'll tell you that story later with the thing about the books. All I did was on the way into DC this morning. It's a 30-minute ride from my house. I looked at all your 1 minute introductory to each knowledge area.
1 minute summaries,
Yeah, your 1 minute summaries. So there's 14 of them.
Yeah.
So I had, 30 minutes. I looked at all 30 of them before I got to DC.
Well done. You got to do something.
I always maximize my time, Phil. Always maximize my time.
Absolutely. So let's say you got to the test center. They threaten you. Tell us what they told you.
No, they didn't
threaten is a big word. Threaten is a big word.
Threaten me.
So what did they say about?
Yeah, but they didn't. I got over on them. Let me tell you, I got over. So I walk in the room and they're late. There's only one person in there, and I'm like, my test supposed to start in 30 minutes, and there's like 20 people there to take all types of tests, 8 p.m., all types of tests. And so they gotta get your ID and everything. So I go up. She calls my number. I'm number 12, and I go up. She goes, there's no. You can't open that book in here. There's no study. And I said, excuse me? She says, do not open that book. Because I had my pin box and my Agile practice guide with me, thinking I had a few minutes before I go inside. So I sat there. So after she took my little handprint thing and then took a picture of me, to validate that it's me taking the test, I went and sat down for them to call me to go on the back. But unbeknownst to her, I have a little PMP app on my phone. So I pulled that up and I answered the question of the day, and I took a little 10-question quiz.
Oh my gosh.
Just a little bit, just a little extra, just in case.
That's hilarious. So they didn't take the phone from you.
They told me I couldn't study in the waiting room.
They saw the book and they freaked out. They're like, oh my God.
They freaked out. They said, what? Don't you? She said, don't you open that book. That's what she said. Don't you open that book.
Oh my goodness.
It was great though. It was great. It like recently, because my heart was palpitating so hard. It kind of released some of the tension,
Absolutely. So you now get into the place, and what comes on the screen? The instructions about how
the instructions about how you have 5 minutes to read this, to explain to you how to use the navigation system, how you can flag a question, those kind of things. You have 5 minutes.
Out and all that.
Yeah.
Did you actually use any strikeouts or highlights?
No, because that takes too much time.
It does.
I'm a fast reader. I just say in my mind, okay, those two don't match. Let me look at the other two. I would take too much time.
You are a very fast reader. So the first question comes up, and just full disclosure, PMI, they get crazy when we talk about specifics, and it's part of our code of ethics. So we won't go into specifics. But question one, it comes up. How do you feel when you see the question? You feel
it's long.
Oh my gosh.
But not just the first question. 90% of the questions are soliloquies. They are so long. It's like, how you going you have to spend so much time reading the question before. They were so long.
Oh my
God. It was long, but I understood it. And I was like, okay, because I hate when the first question is like, you can't even understand it. But when I take a test, but the first question I understood and I was able to answer it, but it was long. It was very long.
Oh my
God. Very
God.
situational and very situational.
But you didn't feel like by the time you got to question.
Oh, but you forgot. Before I did that though, before I answered the first question, I had like 2 minutes, because remember, I've been there before. Right. So I didn't have to read the whole 5 minute thing. So before I did it, they give you like a little pad to write on. So I wrote down first, I saw 6 Cubans. I did that. I wrote down, all the process groups. I wrote them down the pad as much as I could in the time limit. I didn't write every single one. I wrote risk analysis, performance. I wrote as much as I could, remember on the top of my head. And then I wrote down the EEFs. My senator.
Oh my goodness! Don't even
I wrote down that, and then I wrote down only great individuals inspire resources every day.
Wow,
so I wrote down
you
all the
drank
things
this
that I could think of in my
Kool-Aid.
head before I hit start. So I had that
crazy.
already prepared, so it wouldn't take me time during the test to do it.
That is crazy.
I did that.
I know some folks on the call are like, my senator, what's she talking about? You see, you drank the Kool-Aid. That's what I'm saying.
I drank the Kool-Aid.
Ridiculous. Wow.
And I wrote down the formulas. I wrote down CPI is equal to EV divided by AC. And I wrote down all the formulas that I knew in my head, even the number formula for how many people in the conversation. But none of those were on the test.
No, they don't
None
ask
of
that
them.
anymore. They don't ask that anymore. But I it's funny.
No,
Taji,
not even the
because-
CPI, the SPI. None
Yeah,
of the,
I would
no,
have
I had no EV questions. None.
Wow.
No earned value questions.
That's wild. So the first 1 hour, did you take a break? Did you jump out after?
I did the first time, pure transparency, because I had to go to the loo, the ladies' room.
So
I had to take a break, but I didn't take a break the second time. I was like, I gotta finish. You know why I didn't take a break the second time? Because I felt I was slow the first half. I was looking at, I said I had need to be done with 90 questions by 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I was like 10 questions behind because I was taking too long because the questions were so long.
Well, that's crazy.
So I felt I had to speed up, you know?
So Taji, look at this. You read quick. I know because we went through stuff the other day with the team and I was still reading and you're like, it's this. I'm like, she reads quick.
I do, but these questions were, I'm telling you, these questions were long, Phil.
If you found them long, I don't know how someone like me would cope because that's
why I sped up because I was like, oh, I'm taking too much time with the question. And then when I sped up, I wound up gaining like 10 minutes back. So I was only 5 minutes behind because I planned for it, because the first time I told you I ran out of time and I wasn't able to go back and test the questions that I flagged. This time I made sure that I made time. And when I saw I was like 10 questions behind, I said, oh, you need to speed up, Taji. So I sped up and I wound up. And then the next break came, because, it gives you a break after 60 questions, then a break after 60 questions, and then you finish. I didn't take the second break. I was like, let me just finish this test. I'm tired. I need to get out of here.
But you knew that the break is like free money. You know that the break is not.
Yeah, the break doesn't count. Yeah, the break doesn't count.
I know. You were so fed up. You just wanted to keep.
I just wanted to get it over with. I didn't want to go take 10 minutes. I didn't even finish my first 10-minute break. I had 6 minutes left on it when I got back.
Wow.
I went to the loop, came back and finished because I was just fed up. I was like, all these situations. Can you just give me an easy one? How many rows are in the scrum? No, I didn't get that. No.
And you said they were all long and situational. And there were not a whole bunch because I've heard from some people, they said, I had 7 drag and drops, but you only had.
I had 2.
That is just ridiculous.
1 drag and drop was what I was on the Scrum Master and the product owner role. There was that one. And then the other one that I text you, what was that one? That was the one about, I told you I don't remember this. I'm sure I've read it, but I didn't know about it. It was the one about the
disease,
Parkinson's law and student syndrome. What is that? But it was a drag and drop with 5 different things. That was only 2 of the things. There was some other stuff in there.
Yeah.
I just guessed them. I was like, that sounds like that could be it. That sounds like that could be it. And that's, I don't know if I got it right or wrong, but I just, but that's something, like I said, I probably read, but I just didn't remember that. That just, I mean, complete blank on that one.
So much content. I mean, how much are you going to store in your head? But I like the fact that you just roll with it and you used intuition. Now, let's talk about towards the end of the exam. Did you have any time left?
Nope. I had like 2 seconds left. I planned it out perfect. Like, remember, I told you I had to catch up from the first half because I was behind 10 questions. And then I caught up and I was like 5 questions ahead of where I expected to be.
Oh my God.
So at that point, when the 5 last minutes was left, I just had time to look at the questions that I had flagged. And so I looked at those questions I flagged. I told you I changed 3 of them. And then it went 1 second and it was over. I was like, yes, it's done. And then it had the submit button. I was like, should I submit? I was like, okay, I'm gonna submit. Please say I passed. And I hit submit and it said, congratulations. I was like, yes.
Wow, my goodness. So when you were taking it, you didn't feel like you had done it?
No, I didn't. You know why? Because you had said there was gonna be so much Agile on this test. And I'm telling you, mine was not like that. Mine was probably 70% predictive and 30% hybrid Agile.
Oh my gosh. Can you say that again so people can hear that? Because everyone said, oh, my exam is going to be all Agile. And I keep telling people, hey, there's balance.
Every test is different. It seems like from everybody you've had on your class, they come back. Some people said they had 80%. My test was 70% predictive.
That's crazy.
30% Agile hybrid. And I'm probably being generous with the 30%. I'm serious because I was looking for Agile because I feel I'm good in that. I was looking for it. And it was like, I was like, please, somebody give me an Agile question. And another thing, and I got this in my notes, even it was an agile question, they never mentioned like the scrum master. They would say, as the project manager, what would you do? Like it would say, you're in an agile environment.
Okay.
And then it would say something else, you know, yada, 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 yada. But then the final question would be, as a project manager, what would you do? It would never say the scrum master or the product owner. It would always say this. So it always confused me. I'm like, am I in an agile environment or in a predictive environment? Because they always said the project manager.
Project manager. That is project management professional. That's why.
So it confused me a lot, thinking, you know, where was I at? Like you said, how you drop yourself down and you got to figure out where you are.
Yeah.
It was hard to figure out where you are because they would never say the scrum master or the product owner. It would always be, you're the project manager. What would you do next? You're the project manager. What would you do? It was always that. I've heard that so many times today. I've read that so many times today. I mean, probably 100 questions, and I'm not joking. Wow. You're the project manager. What would you do next? Or you're the project manager. What would you do? Even in an agile or hybrid-based question.
Yeah, that's them.
That was very confusing.
But you were able to handle it, and you got all above targets. But let's take a look at the paraphernalia, the PMBOK. Let's take a look. You want to show us your PMBOK guide? Because I want people to know how you were able to do this. So I'm going to go off camera just so it's full screen. My goodness, can you show us the PMBOK? Just the PMBOK, the insides of it. Like show us all those Post-its. Show us what you did, because I know that's, oh my goodness. Oh, you even
notes,
did it.
The highlighting, the tags. Oh, I've been through this book, because every time you're on a video and you say PMBOK guide, page, whatever, I go to it. Or if I do a quiz and the quiz actually points to a page of why you got the answer wrong, I go to the page and go, okay, that's why I got it wrong.
You are a product of the process, and I'm so proud. Let's take a look at your Agile practice guide, please. Can you just show us that too? Let people
it's the same as the other one.
People need to know how to study. This is how it's done, man. This is how it's done.
You know, notes and on the tabs and highlights. Oh, I've been through the whole guide.
Wow.
I've been through this one twice because it's shorter. The PMBOK guide, you know.
Wow.
So it says Chief Value Officer right there.
I like it.
Scrum Master. Oh, they had Flow Master on there. I was surprised today. They had Flow Master.
I should mention, yeah.
And you never mentioned the Flow Master, but I read it somewhere.
Yeah, and you know the thing
equivalent to the Scrum Master.
Yeah, you know the thing about the PMI, it's their game, it's their court, it's their ball, so they just use whatever they want, whenever they want, without rhyme or reason. And honestly, I would never have thought that, again, your exam would be one of this, because I can count them on my 5 fingers. The students who have had 90% predictive, now use 70% predictive, a few that said 50% predictive. I can almost count them all on one hand. They're not a lot. But who would have thought your exam would be another?
Oh, I was begging for Agile because I felt Agile, the questions would be shorter. You know, these they were so situational. The process and the people group, they were so situational. It was a lot of people, a lot of process.
I want people to know that you were able to handle it because of all the work you did. And Taji, I know you don't have a physical copy of it, but let's talk about the third book that you read, which is the.
Oh yeah, I only have the PDF for that.
Yeah, you've got a PDF, so I can imagine if you've got a physical copy, and you did want a physical copy, but there's just not enough time.
Right.
You went through
because I like to write. I'm old school, you know. I like to write and annotate.
Yeah, but you were so quick, Taji. Before I could even
can't do that with a PDF.
Before I could even.
What was great about your book in the PDF was what we were doing the other day. You can have it read back to you, and that's what I did. And it's a very easy read than much better than the PMBOK guide. And you go through the 49 processes in there. You know, if you know those 49 processes, you're good to go. And you go through them step by step in the Immersion guide. And like I said, it's like reading a novel. It's not like reading a PMBOK guide. It was angst reading the PMBOK guide. I mean, I got through it.
It's 600 pages. And
it's the same amount of pages as the PMBOK guide.
You wouldn't know. But you were really good with this. You went through the entire thing. You kept giving me updates of when you were going through chapter by chapter. Mm-hmm. And then you would come to the daily scrum and give an account. So I want people to know all the work you did, because those that are banking on just Agile, they're in dangerous ground. So what would you say to those people who are just banking on Agile?
Well, I was banking on Agile because of what you said several times. Hey, the Agile guy that people have been telling me is at least 50%. I've heard people say it's 80%. That's what you kept saying. So I took those Agile tests. I told you I went on scrum.org and I took the Agile assessment. I did well. I did all those things, you know, really honing in on Agile. Not to say I didn't look at predictive and iterative and incremental. I did look at those too.
Because in the
master class, I really honed in on Agile, and it was like I said, maybe 30% of the test, and that's combined with hybrid.
And you had been prepared in the master class to be able to get the language, but I know you did a lot of extra work, opening the guide, reading the PMBOK guide, and then doubling up on the immersion book, and then let's talk about the mock exams, Taji. So you took the 2 mock exams of 180 questions twice, right? Each one.
I took the first one twice.
Okay.
I took the second one only once because you told me not to take it again because I took it on Sunday, 2 days before my test. And you said not to take the second one. I got an 80 on it and you said not to take the first one. I got a 71 on it. And then I took it again and I got a 87, I think it was. And then I took the second mock 2 days later and I got an 80 and you told me not to take it.
Yeah.
You said it's too much overload.
Before. Oh yeah. I wanted you to just, and I even sent you a message. I said, remember, did you get my message the day before?
Yes, I did.
I said, remember to chill.
Chill out.
I remember to chill out.
I did after I finished watching all your MP3s. I still had to watch. I watched procurement, cost, and stakeholder management last night.
Oh dear. My goodness. So tell me, what has your family said so far? Thank goodness.
They're so happy and proud of me. They're glad that I don't have to say, I'm studying. And I got my Saturdays back. They're like, oh, we can go shopping this Saturday. Because, I haven't had my Saturdays. Now I got my Saturdays back.
Wow. You worked so hard, and congrats to you and your family. And they helped test you as well.
Yes, they did.
They actually gave you quizzes.
And that's why I showed you my whiteboard. That's what they helped me study on my whiteboard. And
so where's
the other side of that whiteboard too.
Show us the whiteboard. Where is it?
Hold on. There it is. And there's another side to that. On the other side, it says, my ganja and my senator and all that stuff.
So I can't see it, it
has all the processes. You can't see it.
I see it in the okay. So it's some people might, but yeah, I see it. It's just small because it's on here, but this thing is huge. This thing is big. I see it. Maybe when we get a photo. Okay, it just came on and then
I can't see it, Taji. Can you share
have a photo?
picture?
Yeah, I'll send you a photo, Phil.
Oh, you can drop the photo in the chat and then
okay.
But I know that you were very relentless in the process. You followed the process. You took my advice about the 40 days. And I was just saying, Taji, we didn't even get a chance to talk about you getting this physical copy of the book, because you were so quick. So you started working with me September what?
2nd.
See, it's barely 6 weeks.
September 2nd.
Barely, just about 6 weeks.
Okay, I put it in the chat.
Oh, I got it. Cool. Let me open it and I'll share it with everyone so they can see. But you got done really quick. So for people who don't know, you were on September class, and this is October. October's just gone to the midpoint, and you've done everything. You've studied. I did 2 immersions. 2 immersions, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So people need to, let's take a look at that board. There it is. That is the product of studying. That's what studying looks like. So process groups, you wrote them all out. You even have the page 25. Oh, and that's a big board. If that's an 8.5 by 11
sheet. It's a big board. And there's stuff on the other side too.
Oh my. Did you buy this purposely for
No,
PMP?
my husband bought it for me.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, he bought it for me to help with my studying. He came home one day. I was like, thank you, honey.
Oh, wow, that is so sweet.
It flips over. It's the kind that flips.
I know. That's that
big joint.
That's a big board. Wow. Thanks to family for helping you and getting you to where you are. And let's take a look at a few more thoughts about this whole people, process, business stuff. So at what point did you feel, all right, I think I'm comfortable and ready to go?
After about 60 questions.
I mean, like in the whole process, like you started with us on the second.
Oh, you mean this process? Nothing test.
Yeah.
Oh, never.
Wow.
You know why? And I was telling this to Tracy the other night, I think on the on one of the scrums, because when you fail it the first time, you're like, you thought you had it the first time. obviously I didn't. But when you fill it the first time, it's like you're just not confident. You're just not confident going in there a second time. And I was not, even though I learned all I learned with you and I felt I had closed my gaps, I still wasn't confident going in there.
Wow.
Because I had failed it one time prior.
But you passed the mock exams really well. When I saw your first mock exam, I'm like, yeah, she's ready. I knew, but you didn't.
I'm glad you knew, because I didn't.
Oh dear. Okay. So let's talk about the ITTOs, because we made so much noise about them all throughout. So, when I was saying, try to understand, don't cram, and so on. Is that valid advice?
It is, at least on my exam. Like I said, I can only speak for my exam, but the ITTOs, even though I studied, I even looked at a couple of your videos on them on the LMS. Plus, I looked at Brenda's. Remember Brenda's worksheet that was so detailed. But there was maybe 3 questions. This is an input of. This is an output of what TT would you use for this? What tool and technique would you? I think I had 3 questions out of 180. Wow. I thought they would be much more prevalent, but they were not.
That's good to know. That's good.
Like I said, but this is just my test.
Yep.
My test was all about process.
I've heard that from a lot of folks. And you said it was very people heavy. So stakeholder and resources for sure. Big
time.
And a bit of risk, a dash of risk in there.
So another quick question I have, Taji, is the mock exams and everything that we take are the questions. See, I know it's not going to look exactly like that, but would you say that just continuously doing all of that maps to at least 50% of the exam?
I wouldn't say it maps to. What I would say, though, it gives you the baseline. It's like, I'm giving an analogy like you're painting your walls. You just can't paint the wall. You got to put like a base coat underneath of what they call a primer. Underneath and then you can paint. You can put your edges on. You can paint. It's the same thing with this test. I think those mock exams, they're like the primer. They like build you up. They give you all the basic foundation to go in there with. Because the questions on the mock exam are nothing like the questions. Like I said, the questions on the mock exam are nowhere near as long as the one on my. Like I said, I don't know about everybody else's test, but my questions were so long. They were so long. They weren't, like I said, they weren't like, Agile is. There are how many roles in the Scrum team? What's the size of a Scrum team? 3 to 9. It was not like that. My questions were very long. And the mock exam, there's some few long questions on there, but most of them are half the size of the questions I had.
Wow.
They're more to the point. But like I said, they're like a primer. They give you the basic information that you need to tackle those longer questions. Because a lot of it is just snuff.
Got it.
You don't even need to know. Like, who was it that said, Phil, just read the end of the question? Who was it that said that?
Chandra said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started doing that because I was running out of time and I was spending so much time reading these long questions. I said, let me just read the last 2 lines.
Yeah.
Because that's what you really need to know. That was the problem was. I would go, where's the problem? Okay, there it is. There's cost overruns and you need to shorten the project by and not increase costs. What do? And then you have your 4 choices. Or what do? How do you not increase the cost on your project, but still make it come to fruition and deliver the deliverable? And I said, okay, which one moves it forward? These 2 are bogus. These 2 have some legs. Okay, this one, that's the one. And that's how I did it all through the test.
But let's talk about your stamina, because you really had developed stamina. And I really believe that taking those marks and the questions. So apart from the 2 mock exams you took, which you took one of the mocks twice and you took one of the mocks once, you did the questions in a book, and we've got about 100 and something questions in this book. And then on top of that, you also took those other questions that are hybrid in nature that we shared a few weeks ago. So when you boil it down, I
also took the 100, it was like 200 questions, that Agile thing you had like 9 tests, and at the end was the Agile toughener. All those questions together, that's like 200 questions right there.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. So you've really built up your strength. So for anyone thinking of doing it, just do the things Taji did. For this one,
Like that, what that guy said the other day on the call, the immersion test, he's one of your PSI students, or what is he, your leadership students or whatever? What did he say?
oh yeah,
And I
PLI.
agree with him. He said, just trust the process.
Yeah, that was Ed.
And he's
I was
right.
like-
Just do what Phil says and you're good. Do what he told you to do and you're good.
Follow the process. At the end of
Follow
the
the
day, there's so
process.
much variation in the exam. You know, some people say it's 90% agile, some say 70, but you had the reverse. And I'm glad that we had already given your class in particular a heads up by showing them Eniola's video that where she said, my exam was different. I hate to tell you, but I had 90% predictive.
That's what she said. Yeah.
And it's true, right? Your exam was so heavily predictive that you wouldn't have even believed if someone told you it would be that predictive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those watching need to do as much, like read, because you don't know which exam you're going to get. So
Exactly.
imagine if
Like I was in the
imagine if
elevator
you-
when I was in the garage with a guy. We were going up, and he said, "Hey, you going to Pearson too?" You know, Pearson, that's the
yeah.
company that does the testing. And I was like, I was like, yeah. He said, "What exam you taking?" I said, "The PMP." He said, "Yeah, me too. It's a tough one." I said, "Yeah, it is." I hope he passed because he was nervous. He was like,
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think I'm ready. That's what he said in the elevator. And I was like, and I committed to him. I said, well, it's my second time, so I got to pass this time. He said, well, good luck to you. And I said, good luck to him. And when I left, he was still sitting there. So I don't
poor
know.
guy.
I don't know. And I took the whole time. When I hit that last button, it was like 2 seconds left. So and he was still there. So I don't
That's
know.
crazy. Let's hope he wasn't still there trying to recover from what happened. Yeah, let's hope not.
He was scared. He was so
Oh
scared.
my gosh, poor guy, poor guy. Well, a number of things I really want to underscore that Taji had done. Again, PMBOK guide, Agile practice guide, the immersion, the masterclass program. So tell me how you feel having gone through the masterclass. Was it grueling? Was it okay? Did I make it more bearable? What are your thoughts about it?
No, it was just what I needed, because before I signed up for your class, I was talking to my husband after I had failed the test the first time. I was like, I need some help, honey. I said, my studying is not doing it. I need somebody to help me, do something. And so I found you online. And first I was only going to take the immersion. And And then I saw your other class and I was like, maybe I need more help. Maybe it was not the immersion. It was like a 4-hour boot camp or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, maybe that's what I've been. I was like, no, I think I need more than that. And I told my husband, I said, I'm just going to go the whole way. I'm going to go do the master class. He said, if you think you need that, I said, I think I need that. And so I decided to do your master class, and I'm glad I did. It was only one weekend, one Saturday a weekend, and 1 week, and then you had the option of going on the daily scrums at night, which also helped. Like I told you, I learned something every time I go to the daily scrum from all these wonderful people. But it wasn't, you made it fun and interesting. And like I said, your immersion book really helped. But even though you tell people to read the PMI guide, which I did read it, but I've read it twice though. I read it once by myself, and then I read it along with you on the MP3s, because you go through the PMI guide on the MP3. So I've actually read it twice. You don't go through every single line in the PMI guide, but you go through majority of it, Phil, in the PMI guide. So you make it very easy and understandable. And but that immersion book really helped, because if you go through all the 49 processes, and it's like I said, it's like reading a novel. It's very easy to read and understandable. It's not so technical like the PMI guide. That book is good.
We try to make it fun.
I'm telling you, y'all should read that book or have it read to you like I did. I didn't read it. I had it read to me.
That's true. So if you open up the PDF copy on Edge, it can read it to you for like 14 or 15 hours. I think that's how long.
Yep, that's what I did. I would read an hour a day. Just give me an hour of it. That's after I finished the PMI guide. But remember,
Yeah.
Right. Thank
you,
Phil.
So you want to ask? You're welcome. You want to ask that question now? Taji's back. Taji, we got a question.
Yeah, sorry about that. My sister came over. So
that's cool.
Pick up her kids.
Don't worry, we'll let you go soon. We'll let you go.
No. They gone. They're gone.
Okay. We know that you got to go celebrate. You got to go celebrate.
Hi, Taji. Congratulations.
Hey, Lovelace.
I want to scream when I saw Phil posted your congrats on LinkedIn. I was on LinkedIn while I was in another class. So I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I was
I
screaming
know.
in the class.
Because Lovelace and I, you know, Cynthia and Tracy, we've been on many a night in the scrum answering 35 questions together and stuff. Well, we've been through it together.
And it's paid off. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Lovelace.
You're welcome.
I think
So I
Taji's
was
been showing
sharing
us
with
all how
Phil
to
that
study.
Oh,
Sorry.
Trace.
I said Taji's been showing us all how to really study.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I told you, Tracy, I could not fail it twice. That's not,
No.
it's not ingrained in me. My pride would have been hurt if I had failed it. If I had saw that when I hit the button, the submit button, right? And I was like, please. And I looked and I was like, it says it. And I screamed and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Because people were still taking the test. I said, oh, I'm sorry. But I screamed out loud. I was so happy. Because you know how it feels to see you did not pass.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I know
You know how that feels.
I know how it
You
feels.
should be happy.
It sucks.
Mhm.
But you
So-
said somebody had a question?
Yeah, so the question, Lovelace, you want to ask it again?
Sure. Thanks, Phil. No, I actually, as I was joining, I thought I had heard you say the majority of your questions were DIC-CIV related, DIC, CIV.
Yes, that came in handy a lot today.
Uh-huh. Good deal.
Yes, 100%. Because there's always a what would you do? What would you? It was always about solving a problem, but it would skip some of the steps. And Phil taught us that though. You know how I would say it would already have in the question how I defined the problem already, and then it would have the I identify, and then you would think, okay, generate responses next, right? But it wouldn't have generate responses as the choice. The choice would be the next thing after that, which is choose. Choose a response. So you go, oh, well, generate's not here. So Phil taught me this. If the first one ain't there, choose the next thing. So I chose generate, even though, I mean, I chose choose because generate wasn't there in the order of the DIC-CIV. And I'm assuming I got it right because the other answer didn't make any sense because they would say something like identify, it would say create a WBS. And you're like, okay, we know that ain't the answer. I'm serious. It did stupid things like that. I mean, not stupid because if you don't know the terminology and you don't know where things go, it may not be stupid. But you knew create WBS is not part of DIC-CIV. I mean, if you were taught by Phil, you would know that. So it would have little stuff like that in there, And I'm like, what? Come on now, that ain't it. So yeah. Or like I said, it had a lot of stuff about firing people today. It was all about firing. Fire that guy.
Firing, escalating.
Yeah, it was firing everybody today. You know that ain't the reason, that ain't the answer. So a lot of times I felt like I could always get rid of at least one answer. All those 49 processes all through my test.
No, they don't use the names. They don't use the names. And maybe I need to emphasize that more. That's why
they do not use the names. They don't.
They use a disguised, they kind of describe it. So you got to be ready to face that.
So you've got to be able to see it in various disguises.
Exactly.
Right. What's another word for it? You know?
Exactly.
Like with Agile, there's change driven, there's excuse me. I just forgot the other
adaptive, value driven.
Yeah. There's so many other words, And I studied that page, was it 19 with the predictive, iterative, incremental. I was like, what? I probably had one question about the frequency of delivery. One.
Wow.
They're so weird, but you were battle ready. You were battle ready. I give people an analogy of how vast this exam is. So let me cover these. Let me just do this and we'll be done. But I think this is going to help everyone to see. So you have about 220 plus definitions, right? Think about that. That is even more than the questions. Then you have, this is in the 6th, by the way, 6th edition. Then you have, and when I say definitions, I'm talking about all the ITTOs as well. Then you have 49 processes, right? Then you have the 5 process groups, you have the 10 knowledge areas, but also remember you've got 35 tasks, okay? And let's not forget you have the 7th edition, which I don't advocate people spend a whole lot of time on. But in the 7th, the most I tell you to take a look at the 12 principles, right? If you add up all of these things, we're going to like 300 items of possibilities. And that is even keeping it at a high level. If we go into the lower levels, each one of these ITTOs have sub stuff that you could go into and get lost in reading. So when you look at the volume, there's so many permutations already in that volume. So you got to read everything possible, just like Taji did. PMBOK, Agile Guide, Immersion, online
YouTube
learning
videos,
system, videos, a lot of stuff.
everything.
A lot of stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, with that, we're not going to keep our boss waiting any longer than she needs to. She needs to go celebrate. She's worked hard and she deserves a break, at least for tonight. Well, we didn't really give her a break, but that's enough.
I don't have to study tonight. I've been studying for months. I don't have to study tonight.
That's right. Yeah.
So what are you
So-
gonna do with all your free
That's what I
time
did
now?
before I came on here. I watched some New York Giant game highlights because I've been missing my Sunday football because I've been studying. So I watched my New York Giants who are 5-1, and I've been missing all that, Phil, because I've been studying. I haven't been seeing them win.
Oh, well, now you're going to be so tired of watching
This
it. You're
Sunday
gonna
I'm
say-
watching football.
You're going to have withdrawal symptoms. That's what's going to
I'm
happen.
coming. You have an immersion this Sunday. I'm coming on. I'm coming on.
So
Well
one last question, Taji.
Yeah,
Can I
sure.
just ping you on LinkedIn, or how is that a
Oh
better
yeah,
way to-
reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yeah, definitely.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
an email or anything, just
Mhm.
LinkedIn is
I can
good.
put my email in the chat too if you want that. Yeah, here it is, right
I'm
here.
not a LinkedIn person, but
You
we'll
need
try.
to be a LinkedIn person. What you talking about?
I
You
think
need to
email
be.
is the least not invasive. So,
Well, there's my email in the chat.
oh, it is okay. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, don't worry, I won't bug you. But
No, please.
since
Girl,
so
please,
many-
no.
Yeah,
We're all a team now.
yeah.
That's
There's
it.
always
So a
Phil.
Phil.
family.
Y'all gotta
So
find me a
family.
job now. What you talking about? I need to reach out to my network and find me a job.
Wow.
No,
Well,
now you
thank
know.
you.
Now you need to get that Agile.
Oh yeah, thanks for
certification.
reminding me, Tracy. So Phil, I need to get that. What is it called? A PCM, MPC? What is it called?
PSM. The PSM.
PSM?
So I often tell people two things. When you get done with PMP, it's the beginning. I tell people, come on the PLI, right? ProjectLeadershipInstitute.com. Sign up, even if it means you're coming aboard for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it is. But come aboard so that we can put you on the right tracks and guide you to your next level, because PMP is the beginning. You got to go next level. You got to boss it up, because there's 1.25 million, right? So there's going to be a lot of crabs in the barrel in many interviews. Let's just be honest. So you need to position yourself, not just for the interview, but also larger level. Like we've had people that have graduated, PMP, and they're like, Phil, what's the next level? Okay, I want to get a deal with the government. So we had one of our PLI people who got a deal with the military to train them in project management. We had another person who decided, okay, I'm going to set up a company to inspire PMs. Another one said, I'm going to inspire PMs in scheduling. So people are taking it to the next level. PMP is just the beginning. There's so many people to influence in the world that you can't just say, oh, I'm PMP. Let me just work for this cushy job in this company like I was doing. I found my dream job in a gaming company. I'm like, yay, this is going to work for years. I love gaming. I love music. This is my dream job. But it was cut short 6 months in. And that's how I ended up where I am today as a trainer and coach. And the reason why it happened is the economy tanked in 08, 09. So my boss, my CEO, called me to the office and said, Phil, it's your last day. Go get a box and just get out. And that was it. And the company folded. But if not for that experience, I won't be where I am. So my next level is where I am now. And I would never have been here if not for the hardship. So we've all got a next level. You just need to find it. And then you need to pursue it. So I recommend join a PLI. Then while you're doing all of that stuff, I say, get the
It's
PSM.
called the Project Leadership Institute.
ProjectLeadershipInstitute.com, because leadership is definitely next level. Great Steve Jobs, he in his words, he said, management is making people do what you want them to do, what you think they should do. But leadership is making people do what they never even imagined, inspiring them to do what they never even imagined. So we want to take people to that next level and become true leaders of themselves, not just a PMP, but a leader and a PMP. And you do know that in the third page of this book. If you read page 53, we'll be quoting it like it's the good book. Page 53 at the bottom, it says the top 2%. Who can finish the statement? You heard me say it. The top 2%.
The top 2% of project managers.
And they are voted by their bosses and peers to have what? High superior communication
skills.
And what
and
else?
Leadership skills.
And what else? A PMA. What's a PMA? Positive mental attitude. And if that isn't leadership, what is? So that's why I encourage people to do leadership thing. And then I encourage
that question
people,
wasn't on the test, even though I knew the answer.
And then I
It
encourage
was on
people,
your 180 though.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's probably buried in there for emphasis.
it's in there.
Because yeah, leadership is everything, right? The true measure of leadership is influence as well. So we want you to also get the PSM. So we look at Ken Schwaber as a leader in the community, and we want people to also follow Ken. So it's not enough to just say, okay, PMP, that's it. But we want, like a number of our PLI members have gone on to become PSMs, and that means professional Scrum Master. So learn from Ken, the co-creator of Scrum.
What did Tracy got something though? What did you get?
She got CSM. Did you get PSM? Yeah, CSM,
PSM.
Certified Scrum Master.
Huh?
Yes, Certified Scrum Master.
Oh, she got CSM.
Yeah.
CSM. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be a Scrum Master.
Yeah, and you know, we tell people
I'm all
CSM
about
is
that
great.
agile.
Yeah, it's great. I'm a CSM. I'm a PSM as well, because Ken Schwaber is the co-creator of Scrum, but his exam is crazy. The PSM is sick. And
That's the one that Yvonne just took
Yes,
and
exactly.
passed.
And Fome, both of them did it.
Yeah.
So if you can hammer down on the PSM, it shows that, you know, like when I passed my PSM, Roy said, okay, yeah, it shows you really do know your agile now, because he kept on telling me, you got to take that, you got to take that. And my goodness, when I took it, it's hard.
It's harder than the PMP?
It's challenging. 80 questions in 1 hour.
Wow.
Crazy.
Oh yeah,
You got to know, Ken doesn't play. He doesn't play.
But they can't be long questions then.
They're not long.
They can't be, they have to be short questions. They can't be these long questions like I had today.
But they're loaded. They'll make you think. So you gotta be, you gotta have your agile at your fingertips. So that's the challenge. And that's why I tell people PMP, come to PLI, do your PSM. And for some of us at PLI, we've made a long-term goal to get the PSM. And some of us are still working on it. We had one person who just got it not too long ago. Others had it. Because as you know, you've heard me say it in the class, Taji, right? The master class, I'm always telling people, you're going to become, Sumi, didn't I tell you folks, you're going to get Scrum certified as well? I told you. So it's part of what I think is going to help you in the real world. Anyone who isn't going Agile and Scrum certifications, they're in the dark ages. But we have an ACP class coming up, Taji. If you're really having withdrawal symptoms, October 20th.
Wait a minute, I don't know that one. ACP.
So
what's
Agile
that?
Certified Practitioner.
Okay, how many big Agile things are there? I got PSM, CSM, ACP.
But ACP
how many
is from
are there?
PMI. So ACP is from PMI. PSM is from Ken Schwaber's company, Scrum.org. CSM is from Scrum Alliance. And they are all relevant.
You have to be all three?
So what I would advise, let's just come on PLI and let's get the wagon on the right tracks. But once you do, my propensity is to advise you towards PSM first. But if you're close to an ACP course, which is coming up in the next week and a few days, why don't you do it? Because Roy and I, we don't have these regularly. So it's every like 6 months. But you've already done a lot of PMP stuff that had Agile. The ACP is from PMI, and it has a lot of similar content. And you've already been through, what, 3 weeks of Agile with me? So that might be another one you're easily able to slide into. And I know from your job spec, a lot of what you did was Agile in nature. Maybe not called Agile, but it's definitely Agile in nature. And we can definitely find places in your resume where you did the Agile stuff. And that's what you would use for your application. So why don't you just come aboard and let's begin the discussion, right? Let's begin the discussion and move things forward.
Sounds good.
You're gonna
Sounds
be
like a
a
plan.
mini Phil.
Phil, does she need to submit an application? Doesn't her PMP qualify her for the?
It does, but the experience, we need to tweak the experience, because experience, it has to really emphasize the Agile approaches. So
okay.
the predictive approaches, that will not be acceptable on the ACP. So my ACP application was rejected. So I'm the poster child.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm the poster child for how not to fill in your ACP application. So trust me, I got mad at PMI. I left them alone for a year. So you people crazy. So I went off on my own and I did another project for a client. And it was that project I used because they challenged a lot of the coding and the testing and development work I did. They said, so what? That's not Agile. Coding doesn't mean that you applied Agile principles to manage the project. And they had a point, because just coding and testing and development is not Agile. I know you might apply some management in the work, but they really wanted blatant proof that it was Agile project management. And I hadn't written it in that way. And that's why they kept on rejecting it until I worked on a different project and used that. So I can show you what I did and how, don't do what I did, do this. So I can show you that. But I would say if you're having like strong withdrawal symptoms, October 29th is a date. Yeah.
October 29th?
Yeah. And Roy and I were doing 2 hours. It's not as strenuous. So it's 2 hours every week. We have a 1 hour.
How many weeks?
Chandra is already in it. So it's 2 hours every Saturday.
Oh, I just got my Saturdays back. You said who's in it?
Oh dear. So Chandra
who's in it?
Chandra is already on the program.
Oh, Chandra's in it already?
Yeah. So come on the program. Honestly, the most important thing is coming for the ride. And we're actually giving a deal to people who come on the ride. We give them 6 months. So it's not going to be a rush. If you're like, okay, I want to go through the training, but I want to catch my breath. So maybe 2023, maybe January, February, you could look at taking it then. You don't have to rush. But come for the training, because Roy's coming out. It's coming out swinging with those boxing gloves. We're going to kill that curriculum. So, just join us and come for the ride.
I'm going to look into it, October 29th.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And the PLI, don't forget, because that's where we do the alignment, the vision. We help you build your vision, your mission for life. This is like next level stuff. This isn't just some like certification that's short term. We want your legacy to be established, whatever that looks like. Leaving a legacy behind for the family, bigger level things. That's what we're on about. All right. Thank you so much, Taji. We're going to go ahead and end the recording and let you have the rest of your evening now that we've taken a huge chunk of it. Thank you and congrats. Congrats again.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm good.
Thank you. All right. Bye for now.
Y'all ready to do some questions?
Oh, no. Come on. Look at her.
One last time when we pull up the LMS and we do some questions.
You just can't get it.
It'd be funny if I get them wrong, right? I done passed the PMP and then I get the questions wrong.
Taji, you're on such a roll. You should just take all the tests you can. And just be your role model.
I know. I'm gonna have all them acronyms after my name, like Phil. He got like 300 acronyms after his name.
It's gonna happen.
I'm really proud that I know you. You'd be the test queen, and then I can be a LinkedIn follower.
And I actually want to work with Taji on some situational stuff because she's done a lot of fun food projects. And those of you who know me, I use food as examples all the time. So this is a perfect student to come to my class because she can actually accelerate my food examples, take it to the next level. All the stuff she's done.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Taji. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys
so much.
Congrats.
Taji, you will be like Phil.
No, I don't know about all that. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm gonna take a little break and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna check this out.
Just check out Carice's link. Yeah, you'll see it.
She's going nuclear. She's going nuclear.
Oh my gosh.
He done got me all into this stuff now.